You're the COO. Where can you go from here?
I'm gunning for Linda's job, for sure.
Yes. So we talked about in previous episodes the culture around this company, which is salespeople first. And I don't know, that could be a little cliche. Mm-hmm. So I need to get deep on that. And I'm bringing Danny Plock on, who is our COO, I'm gonna ask her some tough questions on why our sales culture is different, but why it's important to not only you, the loan officer, but why that's important to a real estate agent, and ultimately why that's important to the consumer. So Danny, first of all, you have a very seasoned past with this company. Tell us a little bit about your meteoric rise to COO, and then let's get deep into what the hell you're doing now and talk about that culture.
Yes, so I've been with the company for 23 years. It was acquired by Doug Shukar in April of 2001, and I started with the company in October as an intern in the accounting department. So I was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to kind of bounce around to all departments from the operational perspective and dig deep and learn our company inside and out. And then 5 years ago or so, I was also afforded the opportunity to become licensed. So I'm now licensed in 50 states, which kind of forecasting the rest of our conversation here, which is really typical amongst a lot of our operations staff, which gives us a little bit of edge being that sales-focused company.
That's an interesting point. Why does that give us an edge?
So we see from the loan officer's perspective, I think that there are, and because I've been with this company forever, I can't speak to other mortgage companies, but it feels like operations can be very tunneled, right? It's a manufacturing process, and here we are going through this, and I'm an operations person, and this is my job before I hand it off to the next person, and that just doesn't happen here. Everybody has real ownership in the loan, in the borrower, in the referral partners. So, when you have key staff on the operations side that also carry licenses, they sit in the loan officer's seat.
Kind of keeps their knife sharp.
Absolutely.
I like it. Now, it's interesting that as you just described your quote-unquote meteoric rise, as I described it, that you went from basically intern to COO. Is that how that worked?
Absolutely. Yeah. I know. It's like a Cinderella story.
But what was in between? What was in between?
There are so many things in between. So I kind of got bribed out of my internship.
I was going to say, did you actually aspire? Like, was there a time 20 years ago that you're like, I'm going to be the COO?
Dang it, I'm gonna be there. I always knew that I wanted to be an executive level somewhere. And so because of the generosity of the executive team here, I just kept getting these opportunities. So the first one was absolutely a bribe. I wanted to get my master's degree. And so we worked it out that if I took over a role in secondary to let Ron Mueller go to sales, they were like, hey, we'll work out paying for your master's. So, I know, beautiful, right? Nice. So I'm like, all right, I guess we're diving in deep with this company. And so I became full-time in secondary, and that's mainly my background, capital markets. But from there, maybe there was some turnover in a department, and it was like, hey, Danny, jump in there and, run closing for a little bit. Or, when we were redeveloping our technology, our loan origination software, they were like, you know what, you can figure this out, jump in there. And it just afforded me all of this opportunity to really see the ins and outs of the manufacturing process. And then, like I said, when I got the opportunity to start originating, it just became full circle. Got to see it from beginning to end.
Do you still maintain all of those licenses?
I do, yes.
So you say 50 of them or 49?
50 because of DC. So it's all states, less New York, plus DC.
Yeah, so that's important to point out that the company's licensed in, I don't know if we've mentioned that in a previous episode, but 49 states, technically.
Yes.
New York is the only one we're not licensed in.
Correct.
New York, get your heads out of your
It's a tough state.
Yeah, okay. I've said it. I'll be done with that. All right, so you have spent probably 3/4 of your life, because I think you're about 30, at this company, maybe more than that. There had to be a point in time, and maybe multiple point in times, that you considered leaving.
Yeah. I don't know anybody in the mortgage industry that hasn't considered
Okay,
leaving.
so leaving
right?
the industry or leaving the company? Two different questions here.
Let's tackle both. So industry, right, highs and lows, just the
Like right
cyclicalness, the lows. If you can survive the lows, then you get to definitely celebrate the highs. But yeah, there's absolutely been consideration, and I don't mean that negatively towards the company, but we're a family. I grew up with Doug and Linda. They've seen me at my worst personally, and they've seen me at my best, and have always given me the flexibility to pull back if things became too overwhelming, and then start climbing again. So they afford that to a lot of their employees here.
You started here when you were in college, you said?
I did, yes.
Okay, I'll stop right there so people can't put math together.
Thanks.
So let's get back to the topic at hand. And I'm going to say this from a personal perspective. There are certain relationships that I've had at this company, and I'm pretty far removed anymore. Technically, I do this kind of stupid stuff. But you have always been a constant. And our group came and we left, and then we came back. Been technically here since 2008, and you and I had many conversations even when we were gone. And I think it's a testament, just from an outside perspective, a different perspective of the culture. Usually, if anybody asks me like, why do you stay there, it's usually Linda's usually tops on that list, and then you're definitely in the top 3. But as I describe that to people, because you have always been so versatile, why do you think that creates, potentially an advantage? Because I know from my perspective, like, you were always a resource. When I was involved, I emailed you a lot about a lot of different things because I could always count on you. And so when you talk about that from a cultural perspective, and now that you've got this big title, are you not as accessible anymore?
No, absolutely. Equally as accessible as
opposite?
I was. Probably more accessible, yes. You feel the shift a little bit because it's more escalated problems, right? Because we have really key people in place that can handle day to day. There are a ton of people that live this company and are available. So I wouldn't say less accessible, but a different type of accessible. And I think that you find those constants, and I think that what you just said, I think would be repeated by a lot of our leaders here at this company. This is why I stay, because I have these constants, and we're continually trying to develop that as we bring on new hires and just kind of instill that culture within them.
The truth is, the word culture, the word family are both very cliche.
Overused.
Overused, absolutely. But at the same token, and actually when we were coming up with the name for this podcast, Ron didn't want to use either one of those terms. But at the same token, I don't want to minimize it, because, in our group, for example, we are proud of the fact that the 3 partners have been together for 20 plus years. Like, that's a testament.
Absolutely.
That is a cultural thing. And I think, especially in this industry, as volatile as it is, as emotional as it is, as, and for some that operate as a business to the core, there's zero loyalty. And I think that is extremely important, not only from a consumer and a real estate agent's perspective, but obviously a loan officer's perspective. And I know for me, I remember when we were gone, I had conversations with you, and I asked you if you would leave and come with us, and I have no problem saying that. And I think that is something that is very important as we talk about the culture of the company, that there are people that have wanted to stay for this long. Because I'll ask you, it can't just be all about the money. I don't think it is.
Yeah, no. My husband will continually tell me that it's not about money for me. He's like, it's about the feel good. I know that's also very cliche.
Right.
The feel good of helping people, finance a home, and that feel good of supporting our internal clients also, like I mentioned before, the loan officers and then their referral partners. There's just a lot of, selfishly, I'm a person that likes, accolades or, words of encouragement. And you get that here because you continually feel like you're doing a good job. There are a lot of people that you're supporting your family, and it feels good. It's good to be here.
You brought up a great talking point too, because we used to have this on our wall in our office, and it was a Shukism thing. IC is equal or greater than EC, which is internal customer is equal to or greater than external customer, which is a testament to that culture. Now, in addition to that, so if you don't understand what that means, why don't you just give us a layman's description of what that means?
Sure. So internal customer are our DAS employees, the people that you work with day to day at any level in the company. I know that I keep kind of stressing the sales, that we're here to support them, but that's between departments, operationally. And then our external customers would be our borrowers, our real estate partners. Even going beyond that, title company relationships that we have. The business is coming in from those external partners, but if we aren't servicing our internal clients as well, it doesn't work. It doesn't flow.
Yeah, it's a great testament to any business owner that you should really operate that way, because I think a lot of just companies and leaders treat employees as a commodity, so to speak, and if you don't treat them well, it's going to have a constant turnover, and that's going to be a reflection on service and all the things. And I think Danny is a great representation of why this is not the case here. Now, as again we talk about that sales culture, Ron and I probably talked about this in one of the first episodes, which is this was a Doug thing, that everything's built around the salespeople. And as a salesperson, you're going to love to hear that. As an operational person, maybe not so much. But maybe help articulate why that's not necessarily a bad thing from an operational perspective, and obviously accentuate why it is a great thing for salespeople.
Sure. So I do want to back up. It does take a strong operations person to buy into that model, right? And that's what we hire to. We, yes, people will have skill sets and just a lot of years in the business, but if they can't buy into this support to the sales, it doesn't work here. And so we employ operations staff that understand it. They're highly skilled. They're very motivated to support their team, and so that's like a really big piece of it. You're hiring the right people.
You were talking about that. You kind of shifted a little bit, but ultimately, how how it's all built around the salesperson, and how that could be looked at from either side.
Negatively. Yeah. So if it's a struggle when you're behind the scenes and you know how hard you're working, and you're doing it for the glory of this person, right? And that is a struggle for some individuals to sit back and be that person, or feel like they're getting dumped on, right? Because we're trying to make the transaction as smooth as possible up front, right? And that's what we want for our referral partners and our borrowers, and we're tackling any messiness that can happen on the back end. And sometimes people want those kudos. It's hard for them to be that behind the scenes support for our sales. But like when we hire to that and they understand that that's our role and that's what we're here to do, and our culture behind that, we I don't know, it just really works. And the sales then, it comes full circle, right? Because we've made them look really good to their referral partners and additional businesses coming in. And you kind of get that feel good from an operations perspective based on that support you're getting.
I think it's a necessity in this business that it not only is our core focus around the salesperson, but also around the real estate agent. And that's not a knock on the consumer, but without those core pieces, it doesn't exist. And I think for companies that don't have that mentality, it's more of an order-taking setup, and that's not best for the consumer.
Right.
And so, understanding the value and the importance of this, I think is incredibly important. Now, as a COO, that's like such a broad-based title. What does that mean? Like, what are you doing every day?
Yeah.
I mean, you just get in your office, put your feet up on the desk, turn on soap operas.
Absolutely.
Is that how it works?
No, and I wouldn't want it to work that way. We like being involved. We like getting our hands dirty. We have a very flat hierarchy, meaning that anybody in the company can pick up the phone and call anybody, CEO, president, COO. We like to remain involved. Now, that doesn't mean that I need to, jump in and pull credit and collect documents, but I will.
Yeah.
So on a day-to-day, it's more oversight, making sure that loans are moving through the system, the manufacturing system, efficiently, effectively, really diving into costs, trying to negotiate and reduce as much as we can, because that just then translates to our borrowers as well. So it's more of oversight, but we're not afraid to get our hands dirty.
What would you say you spend the most time on?
A lot of relationship building with
Between?
outside partners. So investors that we may sell our loans to, service providers that we work with. And it's really focusing on those kind of relationships that then help us throughout the loan process. And like I said, it helps reduce costs, helps to improve interest rates, working with those vendors.
Or I guess if you're a new LO and you come from a state that maybe you don't have a big presence in and you want to add a certain investor or down payment assistance program or bond loan, God forbid, you're the one who's going to help do that.
You got it. So I always say that my Achilles heel is that I've worked here and only here, but it's also the best blessing that I have.
Sure.
I don't have experience with other companies, and I don't know that the grass is greener or not greener elsewhere. I can't speak to that. But what I do know internally is that we listen. Me especially, because I don't have that outside experience. Any new person that's coming in, I listen. I want to hear what it was like at your prior company. I want to hear what products you were using and what your market looks like and how your referral partners, what gets you in the door with them, right? And so those kind of conversations for new hires happen instantaneously. Even in the recruiting phase, we're talking about that and really working towards making it a place for them.
What's something that people may not realize that you do?
Here recently, I'm getting very, very vested in compliance, marketing type compliance. I know it's a dirty word and really boring, but it's just the next phase of really making sure that that everybody's staying safe, right? I know the manufacturing process. I've done the sales. Now let's get into that other side of it and really
Safe how?
Protecting everybody, making sure we're doing everything appropriately, making sure that, that we're going to stay in business for a long time, not only protecting loan officers individually, but also the company as a whole.
Got it. So are we talking marketing, or are we talking like on the individual loans?
Yeah, all of the above.
Yes is the answer.
Yes, all of the above. The marketing piece has been a new phase for me, though, from the compliance perspective of marketing, right? I see all the pretty things that we put out there and how we support our partners. But the intricacies that go on behind the scenes to make sure that not only your loan officer is protected, your referral partner is protected, and that everything is done up to code.
You're the COO. Where can you go from here?
I'm gunning for Linda's job, for sure.
Yes. Oh, that's a good person to choose.
All right.
All right. I like that. Now, let me shift that and say, let's just say you woke up tomorrow and said, I'm done. I'm done with the mortgage industry. Where would you go? What would you do?
Oh, a big dream of me and my husband's is to go on a farm in the middle of nowhere where you walk into like the town, you go into a diner and everybody knows your name. So, maybe I just retire.
Okay, so let's just say you were granted one wish.
Yeah.
You could do that, but I'm going to give you 30 seconds to choose your town.
Oh, no.
Actually 10.
No. Iowa. It would be somewhere in Iowa because
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Cornfields?
Yeah,
Really?
and big deer.
I mean, why not go to, okay, because they're corn-fed. All right. But you could like choose like Idaho or Montana or something.
I know. It would be Iowa.
Iowa. You already planted your seed.
That's
Interesting. Well, there's probably a lot of land to have.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. Would you farm?
Yes. Yeah. Me, animals, and then my husband,
What's
crop.
the first animal you're choosing?
Oh my, goat fainting.
Really?
Yeah.
I just watched a video on social yesterday, and there was this guy who's like, my wife wanted to get chickens or get a chicken for eggs, and now all of a sudden we have 30 chickens, and then my wife wanted chickens, now we have 2 goats. My wife wanted chickens, now we have all this stuff. So if you had 5 animals, what would the 5 animals be?
I would do the goat, pig, definitely. You'd have to go traditional dog on top of that.
No, that's a pet.
Okay. Cow.
Okay. We're going big here.
I know. Well, it's going to be a lot of land. I'll be in Iowa.
Okay. Fair.
We would go chickens and ducks.
Really?
Yeah, because there's got to be a lake on the property.
Why do you have to have ducks?
I don't, because
What do
they're
they
so cute.
Good answer. Okay, fair enough. All right. And then you got this small town where everybody knows your name.
Yeah,
All right. Do you like to vacation?
I do.
What do you like to do?
I'm a beach gal. I just want to lay on the beach.
All right. What's your one spot? You can only vacation one place for the rest of your life. Where are you going?
Oh no.
Man, this is tough.
It is tough. The hard-hitting questions. Puerto Vallarta was fun. Maybe somewhere in Mexico. I don't know.
Okay. Well, with Porter. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. And then last question. If a loan officer needs to butter you up and they want to, buy you something nice, what are they buying you?
I'm a whiskey gal.
Whiskey?
Yeah, straight
Nice.
whiskey gal. Yeah.
What's
that easy.
What's your favorite? Well, wait a minute. Don't
No.
send me down a rabbit hole.
Wait, we can edit that.
What's your favorite whiskey?
Simple. Woodford.
Okay. Good mid-level.
Yeah.
Awesome. You heard that. Buy her Woodford
That's right.
because you want her on your side. Danny, thank you.
Thank you for having me.